Hi, Michael.
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking the time. We just heard your keynote, which was very exciting, and I would love to dig deeper into what you've been talking about. But first of all, it would be nice if you could give like a short introduction about who you are, what you do, where you're working.
Okay, so my name is Michael Richter. I'm working at Robinson Club, which is part of TUI Group. And at TUI, I'm by now for 26 years doing mostly e-commerce business in different companies. And I have a background as a computer scientist. So I made my way from data tables and so on now to conversion optimization. And a significant part of conversion optimization is user research from my point of view. And my speech was dealing exactly with this question. Is it important to do user research? What are the benefits of it? How can your business take advantage of it? And so on. And so the main point is, whenever we are talking about data, data is generated by users. Users are human. Humans have needs. And if you serve their needs, you will get the most out of them and the best performance for your business. So, to sum up my speech probably, if you want to do better A/B testing, do user research, identify user needs, identify pain points, solve these pain points as good as possible by doing A/B testing to find out what works, what doesn't work. And whenever you have the chance to get that feedback, grab it, use it for prioritization to improve your business, improve user experience. And I think we cannot dive deep into the examples I gave. But I can say whenever user research was involved and gave some hints, the probability of significant results was much higher, and we yielded more money by doing so.
Yeah, we heard a lot about this, and this was very interesting. So you already said that you presented a couple of cases where you could show this is how you do research, and this is how you act on the research that you did. So this is how you come up with hypotheses for experiments, for example. I would be interested in learning more about how you use qualitative research in order to support your CRO program in general. So I saw on your slides that you are, for example, also using qualitative research insights in order to prioritize all of the ideas and the experiments that you already have in the backlog for the larger program.
Yes, you can do prioritization based on quantitative data. You see, for example, okay, my drop-off rate in the checkout is too high, so I act in this field for my improvements. But as said, we have to serve the needs of our users. So a website does not exist so that I have a job, or my colleagues have a job, or advertisers have a job. A website is there for people who have a need, whatever that need is, information, they want to book holiday, whatever that means. And if a website does not provide that value to a user, it's not necessary for him, so he can just leave. So for prioritization, it's important to understand which needs exist, what do people want to do on the website, what do they want to do, not what we want them to do. That's a difference. And where both meet our business needs and the needs of the user, the party starts in the center. And from that point on, you can expand to your business, to fulfilling more user needs. So from my point of view, if I know that there is a user need for a specific topic or a specific new feature, this comes before data, because a user or one of our guests told us we need it, and we can back up that need with quantitative data. So if it's possible to add more numbers to a need given by a person, it's perfect. But the first step is understanding user needs. Data will not tell me, but users will. So we use user feedback for prioritization and user needs to drive our roadmap.
That's very interesting. And you already mentioned that, I think you said it yourself, you said serve your customers' needs and not your own ambition.
It's a quote from Optimizely to be.
Yes, exactly. But I really like the quote because it's very helpful. So you've been working in optimization for more than 10 years, which is quite a lot. So you have a lot of experience and dealing with user research in all of your past career. I was curious about what would you say is like the biggest obstacle in order to really get to learn about the needs? Because you said it's when you bring together the needs of the clients or the customers together with your own business needs and company's needs, with your business goals. So what's like the biggest obstacle in order to align both of them?
The biggest obstacle is usually the mindset. You need some kind of humility to accept that you could be wrong. And in most cases you will be wrong because your users may have a different view on your product. But the obstacles within a company are different. So it's a mindset. You have to accept that it's better to let a user define your agenda based on his needs. You need to accept the data. So another question of the mindset, if a test yields a result, this result is, if everything's done right, valid, and a result of an A/B test is more worth than an opinion. You have to accept that your expertise, if you want to call it that way, is just an opinion. That are the greatest obstacles in terms of a mindset. Because there's one thing one should not forget. You have people in companies who are paid for having an opinion. And if you challenge an opinion with data, those people will not be very happy. But that's human, so it doesn't matter. Mindset is an obstacle. Resources are an obstacle as well. Experimentation is some kind of a promise. I say I do experimentation, I do research, and I hope I will get some significant results. I will do my best to do so, but I cannot promise anything. So it's just a promise on a possible learning. If you have, for example, like online advertising, there's already some kind of ROI known. So if I put 100,000 euros in online advertising, I get, let's say, 1 million in turnover back. That is more tangible. But to get resources for something where you just give a promise to do your best and you cannot say what the result will be, it's a hard discussion. So there's always a lack of resources, for example. And what A/B testing does is also it controls. Let's say you have a new concept, a new process for a website, and A/B test will do some measurements, and you have control if it works or not.
You already said that A/B testing and experimentation, this is some sort of control, because you get a better understanding of what you do and if it's actually worth doing it or not. So as we know, when doing experimentation, you're not just always finding the winning variation and everybody's happy. So quite often you might find a losing variation or not even a real insight after all. But how do you deal with the different outcomes of the experiments?
Let's start with the inconclusive ones. So inconclusive does not necessarily mean this work is lost, because you yield some insights, probably based on qualitative research, and you can refine your test to get closer to something that generates a higher uplift or downcast, which is extremely important if you have low traffic. You need high differences. But I think especially in Germany, a losing variation is a very good thing. And let me explain why. Because a losing variation prevents doing harm to your business. So if you check something new and it is a losing one, it would have generated loss. And we don't like losing money in Germany. I think in other countries as well. But if you can point out that A/B testing is also a kind of risk mitigation. So we do it to prevent possible loss. People sometimes or more often are really more interested in preventing loss than in gaining additional revenue, which sounds better. A winner is always better. But preventing or a losing variation is not a failure. It's just a different kind of result. And if you lose money, it's gone. If you don't win money, it's always also gone. So one has to accept that losing variation is a very good result.
Yeah, I fully agree. Because in the end, conversion rate optimization, it's not just per se about increasing revenue and increasing KPIs. It is mostly about learning, right? And getting an idea of what to do with it next. So I wanted to ask you one more thing, because you said one of the obstacles that you see even within the company is the mindset. So even when it comes to management, and you have a very an opinion of somebody that is being a very high pay grade, let's say. So what's your best argument in order to overcome this obstacle together, or for these special ways where somebody is trying to convince you of doing something, even though he does not have any data to support it?
Okay, usually when you have a hierarchy in a company, you're sometimes better off if you follow the instructions, as far as I know. But I would, or what I did is I always ask for, can we do it within a test? So your opinion is well informed, probably based on data, based on your experience, but let's give it a try. And it doesn't have to be a 50-50 split test. We can also say, okay, I believe your opinion, we can do it, we play it for 90% of the traffic, and we leave 10% to just check it. And if this doesn't work for the beginning, you can back up it with some examples from the past. Look what we've done, what it yielded, where we prevented loss, and so on. It's hard work, but as far as I know, necessary. And for example, I do some roadshows within our company every few months for new employees, explaining what is my job about. So whom do I care about? What do I do? How can we probably work together, although your business may not be digital? Probably something within a resort or so on. Just to understand the way of thinking. What does conversion optimization mean? I prefer improvement, to be honest. I will never optimize our conversion rate, never. But how to work with input from users, from guests, to improve what we call experience. And the main thing with a good user experience is, it is good at one point. When he comes back the next time, this is exactly what he expects. And you have to get better with every step. So it's important that your colleagues understand what you are doing and how they can benefit from methods, statistics, and stuff you know. And I hope that step by step the mindset will change. And good stories always help.
So taking a look back at today's agenda on the Analytics Summit, we've seen a lot of different keynotes and talks about various topics, but there's always one component that is part of every discussion, and this is data. So for your keynote, it was the first time for today that we heard it's not just about quantitative data, but also about qualitative data and user research. So I would be interested in learning more about how you actually align both of them. So how do you align the quantitative data with the qualitative research that you do?
It's possible in both ways. Let's say you discover some kind of anomaly within your quantitative data. You see what happens. You may ideate on it why that happens, but you don't know. Quantitative data will never tell you why, as long as it is a bug, for example. But based on that anomalies, you can start up surveys. Let's say interviews with customers, with users, a broader survey on your website to understand why there is something not behaving as intended. Let's say it this way. It's the one way to do it, quantitative first, qualitative to understand. The next thing is the other way around, qualitative data first. So let's say within some interviews you get an insight, like the example with the family rooms I mentioned. People were wondering if a resort doesn't have family rooms. You may check your data, how probable it is that there's no family room available. And you may, based on this information that they're looking for, start an A/B test to see if this problem, which probably only 3 or 4 people were talking about, has a much wider scale to understand it. So qualitative data gives the hint or gives the idea. Quantitative data from A/B tests backs it up by explaining, okay, that is a real pain point, not only of one person, but for a lot of people. So you can align them, and you can use, as mentioned, qualitative data for prioritization, because if you know there is a need, if there is a pain point, solve it. I sometimes I'm thinking that probably I'm not a conversion optimizer, but user success manager. So people are coming to our websites, they want to do something. And it's my responsibility to make it possible. And as easy as possible, not very complicated. Like Einstein said, every idiot can design complex processes. The art is simplicity. And to do it and to achieve it, you need user research, you need to talk to people. There are very few geniuses out there who can do it without it.
Talking about complexity, this is very interesting because this is directly going into the direction of the next question I wanted to ask. Because I already said that for today, data is basically at the core of every talk and of every keynote. But another trend that is obviously in everybody's mind is AI and machine learning. So do you have an idea, or what's basically your take on machine learning and AI when it comes to solving the complexity and make it a little bit more simple to work better together for quantitative data and with qualitative data in alignment?
I see 2 points. Let's start with quantitative data. Maybe with qualitative data if it's structured. I think AI will be able to help you identify patterns within that data. I have a set of methods, you have a set of methods, we apply them to data and probably we'll find something and probably not. But the higher the complexity is, the more AI will aid both of us to make a better job. So to identify patterns, which are not as obvious as, let's say, too higher a bounce rate, which is too high. The other thing regarding from a user experience perspective is, if you have a look at something like ChatGPT, when we are using it today, it's some kind of a beta probably. We talk to ChatGPT and try to understand what it does and so on. But in a business context, something like ChatGPT may turn into something like a travel agent or a consultant, where I can ask my questions, it immediately grabs the data from the domain data it has available. I think that will be an interesting thing as well. And probably, surely for content generation, to give a starting point to create content pages, let's say in the tourism sector, on destinations, on excursions or whatever. But I'm really curious how Google and other search engines will deal with AI-generated content in the future.
You mean like especially for things like ranking?
Yeah. So if it's it's probably, or it may be treated like spam. So is there a need for 10 times the same information on the same destination with the same wordings on different web pages? I don't think so. And I don't think it will fit into the philosophy of Google to provide help. So I suppose better chatbots, let's say it this way, assistance while analyzing data, and starting points for content generation. That will be the next big things probably.
I guess we'll have to find out, but this is what makes the future and especially these upcoming months and years explicitly interesting for our industry, I would say. We've been touching ranking just a minute ago, and I know earlier today we've been talking about accessibility. So we know that accessibility will be a topic for the upcoming years as well, because it will become a a legal standard, and there will be fines for companies not following the rules of accessibility. So I was curious about where you are standing with this right now at your company.
We know that it will come. I'm getting older. I'm experiencing accessibility. So whenever I miss, I haven't my glasses with me. I get really into trouble to read something on my phone, for example. And from a user experience perspective, it should not be necessary to have legal obligations to do so. From my point of view, it has to do with respect towards the people who are visiting your website. It must be accessible. So no one would put stairs of 1.5 meters in front of his shop because it's not polite. It's not a sign of respect. So we will take care of it. We have to, because we have to, but as a sign of respect, you should make information as accessible as possible, as easy as possible for people with disabilities, like probably not only glasses, but blind people. You need a reader. And or descriptions for images as well. Or the contrast should be high enough so that it's easy to read. We will have to deal with it. And to repeat my point of view, it's a sign of respect, not a legal obligation.